Hello and welcome back to Friday Minis. Now, have you ever wondered how programs like Cheat Engine actually work? Well, as it turns out, it's all about actually poking around in RAM. Here's the deal. Every game actually uses some amount of RAM to store, any working information, including things that may be of interest to you, things like your player's health. What a program like Cheat Engine tries to do is, it can either try to read from certain areas of memory belonging to the game, or even write to those areas of memory, thus changing something in the game. The way in which you actually figure out where in the memory you want to actually modify is quite interesting. Obviously, it's easier when in-game things actually have proper numerical values because you can just search memory for that particular value. But when that's not the case, you do a very interesting sort of divide and conquer method of finding that value. For example, if you want to cheat and actually max out your player's health at all times, you may want to first do a scan, and that will give you all the maybe hundreds or even thousands of memory addresses used by the game. Then you maybe want to walk around to somewhere else and just keep your health unchanged. Then after a while, you scan again for any area in memory that was unchanged from the previous time. Other things you can do is perhaps you can go and take damage and then look to see which areas in memory have actually decreased. Maybe you could go drink up a potion and then go and look in memory again to see which values have now increased. Hopefully after a few iterations of back and forth, you narrow things down to a very small number of memory addresses, preferably one. Then you can actually try and change that and see if that actually affects your character's health. And that is essentially how you cheat in a video game. In fact, even back in the day, things like Game Shark actually used a technique very similar to this. It might seem like this is only useful for cheating, but I've actually used this to debug programs before. I've actually used this to, fix a game that was slightly buggy. I just used it to sort of jump past the buggy parts, which was a very interesting experience. Of course, all of this hinges on one very important fact, and that is that, the game actually uses the same set of memory addresses for the same thing. Some games that actually want to prevent you from cheating will sort of shift memory addresses around. So maybe for one moment, the health is stored here, later on the health is stored elsewhere. So your existing cheat will no longer work. So yeah, it's a very interesting technique. It definitely shows that, it's very hard to cover up all the holes. There is always some way in which you can get into a program and change something about it. Anyway, that's all there is for this episode of Friday Minis. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, you're watching 0612 TV. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked this video, consider checking out the rest of my work on my channel. Alternatively, you may be interested in a playlist of all the other episodes of Friday Minis. If you'd like to show me some monetary support, I am on Patreon. You can find a link to my campaign in the video description. Of course, you can simply like this video or leave a comment. I'll be sure to respond as soon as I can. To keep in touch with my future uploads, do subscribe to this channel. And for even more updates, check out the official Twitter account for this channel at 0612TV. Thank you for your support.